This is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 33. And it reads, "The virgins shall mourn having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn having no husbands. The daughters shall mourn having no helpers. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine."
It's fucking sad.
It's such a betrayal.
This is not me saying this.
Right.
This is the guys that are going to go over there in tier 1, tier 2 units that are joking around saying like, yeah, this isn't even for us. Everybody knows they're fighting for Israel. That's not a winning strategy. If they don't believe in what they're potentially going to do, which hopefully they're going to do nothing, but high probability they're going to do something, and they know it's not for the United States, fights out of the dog, buddy.
And you think they know that?
I know they know that because I just had a going away party for one, and that's all he was talking about. And it's fucking sad.
It's such a betrayal.
All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. I'm back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit of the Rakak Wadash. This article here is from theguardian.com. Headline reads, "Shameful. Pentagon accused of cover-up over U.S. military casualties in Iran war." All right, so every day it just gets worse. Okay, and you can no longer lie to the people. Okay, people understand that thousands of troops, are dying over there in this war with Iran. Okay, so it's all coming out every day. And according to prophecy, this thing is escalating to the war of all wars, all right, World War III. So that death toll is only going to continue to climb, right? It says no press briefing has been held for months as the Defense Department belatedly or inaccurately releases figures, all right? So they continue to lie to the people, man, to downplay, how many soldiers are actually being put to death, right? Let's hit the summary real quick. Let's see what we get from it. All right, here we go. Let's let this pull one more second. Here we go. So it says here on the left in the summary, it says allegations of casualty cover-up. All right. Withheld information. Former Defense Secretary Leon Panetta and other experts accused the Pentagon of intentionally withholding the true number of U.S. casualties in the ongoing war with Iran to avoid public backlash, right? Because they know that people are going to uproar, okay? To avoid public backlash ahead of midterm elections. Casualty figures. The conflict has resulted in 18 U.S. troop deaths and approximately 430 injuries, all right? So we know those numbers are flawed, okay? There's way more deaths than 18 troops, okay? Reporting discrepancies. The Pentagon faced scrutiny for delaying the disclosure of injury figures and for temporarily lowering the official death count on his website from 18 to 14, which a spokesperson blamed on data disruption. Okay. It says unprecedented press restrictions, information blackout. Okay, because everything that's being reported is all being, is all controlled. All right, they're not going to give you the full truth. It says the Pentagon, now restyled as the Department of War, has not held a formal press briefing in 2.5 months. Okay, so they've been silent. Media ousting. Major news outlets were replaced by pro-administration media, and strict new rules led to a mass walkout by journalists on October 2025. Hostile environment. Recent policies include requiring journalists to be escorted on the grounds and declaring the press office as a classified space. Press freedom watchdogs call this the most hostile Pentagon environment in recent memory. All right. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, so that's the point, man. So, hey, this thing, man, you know, as we're going to get into, is now it has shifted. I wouldn't say it's shifted, but now you're dealing with Iran, and now Russia and China are now involved. All right, and we'll get that too, because all this is just fulfilling prophecy. All right, Joel, the third chapter, Ezekiel 38. Okay, all those prophecies come to mind. So going back here, in 2nd Ezra 16, in verse 34 again, it says, "In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. Hear now these things and understand them, ye servants of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Behold the word of the Lord, receive it. Believe not the gods of whom the Lord spake. Behold, the plagues draw nigh, and are not slack." Okay? The end time prophecies, destruction, war, the return of the Lord, you know? These things are not slacking. Verse 38. And when a woman with child in the ninth month bringeth forth her son with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains can pass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Okay? The child is about to be born. All right, which symbolizes, okay, nuclear war, World War III, the war of Armageddon, and the return of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay? Destruction of Babylon the Great and the salvation of the Lord's elect. Okay? These things will play out. Verse 39. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, now China and Russia are now involved. Let's grab that too. This is from Kim Iverson. Are they insane? Now war with China and Russia. All right, prophecy.
Well, I thought we were dumb enough getting into this war against Iran, but apparently we're going to add China and Russia to the mix because we just can't have enough, apparently. We've got a lot of people in the administration making a lot of moves that clearly look like they are ramping up for a World War III with China and Russia involved. So it would be China, Russia, Iran, probably several other countries joining in on this against the United States and Israel, because I don't know who else is going to join in. I mean, this could be one way that the U.S. gets the West into the war with Iran. The West doesn't want to get into the war. The European countries don't want to get into the war, but they would get into the war against Russia. And then who would get into the war against China? You know, Japan would join in on that, perhaps. Taiwan, of course. You maybe could get some other countries to go up against China. Maybe even India, if you bribe them enough. I'm not really sure how this all plays out, but it does seem like there is kind of this strategy building toward bringing these other countries into the war. And one thing that was really shocking, I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, that's the Lord. All right, let me get that. The strategy is Yahweh Shem Yahushai gathering the nations, all right, for this final battle. All right, Zephaniah 3 and Zephaniah 3 and 9. Okay. The Lord is strategically, you know, putting the pieces of the puzzle together, right? This is Zephaniah 3. Bear with me. Zephaniah 3 and 8. And it reads, "Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, unto the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations." All right, this is the Lord's strategy. As she was saying, it's all spiritual. My determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms. All right, is this not what the Lord is doing? He's assembling the nations together to pour out upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. All right, this is the Lord doing this, man. Okay, NLT, therefore be patient, saith the Lord. Soon I will stand and accuse these evil nations, for I have decided to gather the kingdoms of the earth and pour out my fiercest anger and fury on them, all the earth will be devoured by the fire of my jealousy, right? So this is nuclear war. This is World War III. Here we are.
Get into the war against China, Japan would join in on that, perhaps Taiwan, of course. You maybe could get some other countries to go up against China, maybe even India, if you bribe them enough. I'm not really sure how this all plays out, but it does seem like there is kind of this strategy building toward bringing these other countries into the war. And one thing that was really shocking, I don't know if you saw this, but Laura Loomer, the big, she's got president's ear, and she's often going after people, and she gets what she wants quite a bit. And she recently, this was an interesting twist, but she had recently gone to Kiev, went on a trip to Ukraine, and has since flipped her stance on the Ukraine-Russia war. So she was one of those, hey, let's not demonize Russia, let's end the war, let's do a deal. And now she's full-blown for Ukraine, and she's one that's got the president's ear. And I think she often represents kind of the trend of where things are going. So I think it's important to watch what she's doing and what she's saying, because, like I said, she often gets what she wants. And if she's now saying, no, we have to support Ukraine, this is what's leading me to believe that we're now going to be adding the war against Russia and China in this. Here's Nikki Haley. We're seeing the warm up to this. Nikki Haley saying, it's important to remember that, yes, Iran struck our military bases and killed and injured many soldiers, but who is giving them the satellite imagery to do so? China and Russia. So we're going to start seeing a lot of the, let's just make a deal with Russia. We kind of did Russia dirty, and that's why they ended up invading Ukraine.
Yeah, like we told you, they were giving the intel to Iran, okay, on the bases and the soldiers and all of that. This is how they had the upper hand. This is why you're seeing reports of what? Of this cover-up of U.S. military casualties in Iran war. All right? This is part of them gaining the upper hand against America. You see? So this is all true.
Because we were saying we were going to expand NATO, we were doing all these things, and we're reasonable, we're willing to listen to them. That whole crowd is going to flip, and they're going to flip toward, no, we have to support Ukraine, we have to support the war. And the reason is going to be, there's going to be a concerted effort from the think tanks who are going to put out millions and millions of dollars in order to convert all of these first, hey, let's do a deal with Russia and end the war in Ukraine, converting them into, no, Russia is the bad guy that the Democrats claimed Russia was all of this time, that they're just as bad as China, and they're killing our American troops with their imagery, their weapons, their satellites, all of this are helping. And that is going to try to get the United States to ally, because that's really what, when you're building a world war, how do you go about doing it? You've got to get everybody's interests lined up together. And maybe everybody has different interests, but you could at least line them up on the same goal. Right? And so you could say to the European nations, okay, you don't want to join in on the war against Iran, fine, fair enough, but you do want to join in against Russia. And then the Europeans say, yeah, okay. And they say, now, but we don't want to go up against China because the Europeans don't want to do that. And they say, well, yeah, but Russia. And so they can play everybody's hand, try to get everybody to feel like, okay, yeah, we have to do this.
A ship.
Since this pass. It's going there. We told y'all.
Here's another news report saying, oh no, U.S. officials fear China and Russia are helping Iran. Just building up that narrative against those two countries.
Also this morning, new reports raising concerns about Iran's growing cooperation with Russia and China after the deadly attack on American forces stationed in Jordan. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that both countries likely provided Iran with intelligence and targeted support ahead of that attack. The report states Iran appears to be using the same advanced high-speed maneuverable missiles it deployed during its attacks on Israel back in 2024.
I think one of the interesting things, and I've just seen kind of breaking news on this, was the precision in which they were able to strike sensitive targets within Jordan. And the reporting is indicating that perhaps China or Russia was feeding them targeting information. Now, we need to get to the bottom of that, particularly...
There you go. So it's confirmed. All right? They're catching pure hell out there, man. And them soldiers that are being sent off are not coming back. And like we saw in the video here, as he was saying, all right, these soldiers, they're talking about, you know, who they're really fighting for. Okay?
We're talking about China on the back of the news that the president just broke and declassified about them stealing over 200 million voter files from the United States and obviously interfering in our election where they were trying to influence through media campaigns or social media people's perceptions and how they were ultimately going to vote. China is our adversary.
So, right. Trump did last week start to say China meddled in the election in 2020 in order to make Trump lose. And a lot of Republicans are really mad. They're gobbling this up. So these are the same people that would not believe Russiagate, right? They were like, that's a conspiracy theory to say that Russia helped Trump win, made it to where Hillary Clinton would lose. That's a conspiracy theory.
All right, let's grab some scriptures real quick. Let's go back to 2 Ezra 16 from the top. All right. Hey, it's all prophetic. This is 2 Ezra 16, verse 1. And it reads, it says, woe be unto thee, Babylon. Okay? America and Asia. Okay? What's going on now? China, Russia. Okay? Iran, North Korea. Everybody's going to get involved. Destruction is coming, man. And this is going to play out where? In the so-called Middle East. Okay? 10 signs that something really big is about to happen in the Middle East. Okay? And we know what that is. There's going to be nuclear war. All right? World War III. Okay? What did the prophet Isaiah see in Isaiah 9 and 5? This is Isaiah 9 and 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this, meaning this war, but this should be with burning and fuel of fire. All right. So what did the prophet Isaiah see? He saw nuclear destruction. Okay. This war that's coming upon the earth is going to be with burning and fuel of fire. See? 2 Ezra 16 and 1. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Assyria, right? So-called Middle East, okay? The Arabic nations, Syria, Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, okay? Lebanon, okay? All those nations, all right? This is why all the action, all the concentration, focus is what? The so-called Middle East, okay? This is where the end time prophecies would take place, right? Verse 2, gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair, bewail your children, and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. See? A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? May any man drive away a hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire in stubble when it have begun to burn? May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer? The mighty Lord Yahweh Shemel sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? Nobody, man. Okay? A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord Yahweh shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? right? The earth quaketh in the foundations thereof, the sea ariseth up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord, and before the glory of his power. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp. All right, that's the missiles, man. Okay, they're going to come from all these different nations, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. See that? That's why they're called intercontinental ballistic missiles that could be shot from one end of the world to the other. Behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. See? The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. Okay? It's going to be total destruction, man. Okay? And through that nuclear destruction is what's going to cause a new heaven and a new earth, pursuing Isaiah 65. Right? Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that should be sent upon the earth should not return again. So the plagues are coming. Okay, nuclear destruction, right? Let me go to that Isaiah. Was it Isaiah 65 or Isaiah 66? I think it's Isaiah 66. Hold on. The Lord's going to cause this destruction to bring forth a new heaven and a new earth, right? It's Isaiah 65 and I believe it was Isaiah 66, Salakia. It might have been 65. Yeah, let's try 65. Just wanted to bring that up real quick before we go back to the video. Okay, so this is Isaiah 65 and Isaiah 65 and 17, and new heavens and new earth. Isaiah 65:17 says, "For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered nor come to mind." All right, and so this war, this nuclear war, is going to create a new heaven and a new earth. Verse 18, "But be glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy." See? So that's what's about to happen here. All right? Let's play a little bit more, and we'll go into that article here.
But China does it, and no, that's real. Don't you understand? So you got the Democrats saying Russia did it. You've got the Republicans saying China did it. Different elections, different outcomes. And then the question to Trump has been, well, then if China didn't want you to be president, why are you president right now? I mean, if they had the ability to do that, then what's going on with you here? And then the response seems to be, well, because they figured that they wanted to maybe meddle in the 2020 election. They ultimately didn't, is kind of what we're getting from this kind of convoluted argument. But because they decided that there was no political interest in them for them either way. That either way, there was no difference. Well, wait a minute. That's what Russia had said all along, too, that either way, there was no difference. So China says either way, there's no difference. And guess what? Most Americans say either way, there's no difference. So why would anybody meddle in our elections when there's literally no difference? Either way you go. But here's Trump alleging China meddled in our elections, which, by the way, voter records are public. Anybody could get them.
The documents cover 5 major areas of...
This professional 32 terabytes.
All right, hold on with me. Hold on 1 second. And we'll play a little bit more of this, and then we'll go on to the next point.
The documents cover 5 major areas of concern. First, they show that over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, kept the information secret and hidden.
I mean, this doesn't make any sense. You can literally look up anybody and whether or not they voted. This is public record. You could look up which party they're registered to. if they voted, you can't see who they than the AI companies that spend hundreds of billions of dollars, and they did it with just like very little money, right? So the Chinese don't need to steal our tech anymore. That's just an age-old. That's kind of like 2 weeks from a nuke for Iran. You know, they're stealing our tech. They're stealing our tech. They don't need to do that anymore. Do people not realize China had a one-child policy for years?
Yeah, they're beating America in the AI race. All right, they have better AI and all of that technology. Anyway, so let's go into this article here. All right, so you get that. So this is from discernreport.com, 10 signs that something really big is about to happen in the Middle East. And we'll just summarize this quickly here. You know, get right to it. So we got bear with me so we can get straight to the point. So here we go. So it says overview of imminent conflict. The author asserts that the U.S. and Israel are on the verge of launching a massive military campaign against Iran. It's already happening. Currently limited to southern Iran, the operation is reportedly waiting for the final approval from President Trump, which could fundamentally alter the region. See? Destruction. 10 key signs of escalation. Presidential readiness, military surges, failed diplomacy, no peace, no agreements, right? Travel warnings. The U.S. State Department issued a worldwide alert urging Americans to exercise extreme caution due to potential travel disruptions and targeting of U.S. facilities, right? It's getting hot. Embassy evacuations, U.S.-Israel coordination, Israeli military preparations, public defense measures, right? Nuclear retaliation. The author warns that if Trump orders the attack, Iran's response would be unprecedented. It may include withdrawing from the nuclear non-proliferation treaty to test a nuclear device. All right. Predicted timeline. While minor bombing runs utilizing B-1B Lancers already occurring, the author guesses that, quote, massive operation will officially begin after financial markets close for the week, unless Iran suddenly decides to negotiate. There you go. All right. Let's go to Joel. Okay. It's Joel 3:1. And it reads, for behold, in those days and at that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. All right, this is the time of the salvation of the Lord's elect. Okay, verse 2. I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay, as we talked about Zephaniah 3:8. How is the Lord's strategy? Okay, his determination to gather up the nations. All right, this is happening now. I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. All right, so this is the vengeance of the Lord's temple. Okay, he's doing this for his people. Okay, the gathering of the nations to their destruction. Right. Let's jump down. Joel 3:9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, or the heathen. Prepare war. Right. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. All right. You got Russia, China, Iran, North Korea. All these nations are going to get involved. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. See, they got the technology, the capability, the drones, the financial backing. Okay, they're helping each other. Okay, and they're unifying to take down the Western hegemony. Okay, America, NATO, all right, EU, the small hats. Pretty much this Edomite power structure is going to be taken down. Okay, soon to come here. All right. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord, Yahweh Shemir Shai. All right, which are the angels, which they have been seeing the angels, flying around different nuclear sites between Russia and America. You know, the reports of them activating and deactivating the missile silos and things like that. Just pretty much showing these devils that the Most High is in control. Right? Verse 12, let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. See? So this is why, as it said in the article, again, something really big is about to happen in the Middle East. All right? It's prophecy. That's what's about to happen. Where the Lord is going to judge all the nations in the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. All right? Ezekiel 38 comes to mind as well. Okay? Verse 13, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord, Yahweh Shemir Shai, is near in the valley of decision, right? So that's what's going on here. Again, prophecy. See? So another day closer, man, to the end all be all, man. Shalom.